na every day. It's like my iPod stuck on replay, replay. Shorty's like a melody in my head that I can't out, got me singing like na 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 every day. It's like my iPod stuck on replay, replay. Remember the first time we met? We was at the mall with your friends. I was scared to approach you, but then you came closer, hoping you would give me a chance. Who would have ever knew that we would ever be more than friends? We will world without breaking all the rules. It's like a song played again and again, like something off a poster. Is it like they say? Is it not into my holster? She's running through my mind all day. Shorty's like a melody in my head that I can't keep out. Got me singing like na 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 every day. It's like my iPod stuck on replay, replay. Shorty's like a melody in my head that I can't keep out. Got me singing like na 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 every day. It's like my iPod stuck on replay, replay. So you've been all around the world, not once did you leave my mind. Talked on the phone like.
Welcome to this episode of Philly on the Rise. As you know, I'm your host, Michael W. Pleasant, and the arts are alive in Philadelphia. They're especially alive here at the Asian Arts Initiative, where once a month, on a Friday night, folks come from all over to an open mic night. And we're actually joined by the host of Open Mic Night, Michelle. Michelle, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
You're welcome. Tell us a little bit about Open Mic Night and what folks can expect when they come.
Our Open Mic Night is called Family Style, and I think when folks come to Family Style, they can expect all kinds of things. We have a really great audience that comes and supports each one. I think that one of the things that we've been really excited about over the last 3 years of us doing Family Style is that we've been able to bring in around young people, as well as elders and everyone else in between. We've been able to sort of branch out across communities as well. So even though it's taking place at the Asian American arts community venue, as well as it's mostly geared towards trying to showcase Asian American artists. We have people from all backgrounds coming to Family Style. So it's cross-cultural, it's cross-ethnic, cross-racial, intergenerational, and everyone has a good time. It's a very supportive space.
You yourself are a poet, one half of Yellow Rage, and you guys performed on Def Jam. Is it Def Jam or Def Poetry Night?
HBO Def Poetry Jam. So
HBO
the actual
Poetry.
title was Russell Simmons Presents. It was called HBO Russell Simmons Presents Def Poetry.
How to be a model minority. They say be still, be small, stay seated, stop squirming. This may be your life, but they'll say what it's made of. They say a little sweetener on a spoon will make it smooth when the meds go down. They say they have the recipe to make you function, to pop, pop, snap till you crackle. They say poetry is dead, or should be, 'cause words are useless. Just whining and rhyming, hypnotizing, justifying, proselytizing. They don't see the uprising, but why would they? They say dissent is a sign that something bad is up your sleeve. When bent kneed, cuffed and pleading, you dare to ask why. They say you belong with a he and you with a she, and who makes the rules? We, because they say you don't know what's good for you. They say you're the different, the misstep, the wrong color of the rainbow. They say they don't know where you belong, but it's not here. Because this is their story, and you weren't there, not even a footnote. Defeated, deleted, and then not even indexed. They say your name never came up. To be a model minority, just keep your mouth shut.
So here McGowan, she was the feature poet here tonight at the Asian Arts Initiative, and she's actually come all the way up from DC to visit us here in Philly. And we're going to show her a little bit, just a little bit of brotherly love. Gallery, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
How has it been so far, coming up here and doing your thing tonight?
It's been great so far. The show hasn't even started yet, and I've already started meeting people and just getting a sense of this wonderful space the Asian Arts Initiative has, and some of the staff and organizers who are active here.
Tell us a little bit about your poetry. When did you actually start writing poetry and performing it?
I think like a lot of folks who write poetry in adulthood, I would trace it back to when I was a kid, when I was a teenager. I minored in poetry, creative writing as a college student. And then I took a long break from poetry and I went to law school and I did about a decade of social justice advocacy work as a lawyer, which was always something that was very important to me. So I got into performance poetry a few years ago, and that was after a decade of doing social justice work. And so that definitely has informed my performance poetry. I certainly still write poems about a whole range of topics, all the kinds of things we deal with in life, as human beings. But certainly with my performances, I really do try and highlight my pieces that I feel are more political, that I feel address certain issues and maybe advocate and educate and just to open a space for dialogue.
Opening that space for dialogue, and tonight's Poetry Slam will definitely give you an opportunity to do that. Talk to us a little bit more about some of the specific pieces that you have.
Sure. Well, particularly since the theme of tonight's open mic is kind of based around this idea of stories of where we come from and our backgrounds and our home countries. A lot of the work I'm going to be doing tonight really touches on that aspect of my experience. My parents immigrated to the U.S. from Sri Lanka in the early 70s. I was born in Connecticut, raised here, but I'm certainly someone who identifies strongly as a first-generation Sri Lankan American, or first-generation, insert other country here, hyphen American. And so that comes out in my poetry. So some of my poems tonight are going to talk about my identity as a first-generation child of immigrants. And some of them talk more directly about things that have gone on in Sri Lanka every month.
Tell us a little bit about your poetry. Obviously, you're from DC. What exactly is your inspiration when you sit down and write?
Well, I came to performance poetry specifically after years and years of working as an attorney and working as a subject matter expert on different federal policy work and doing a lot of advocacy in a different way. And when I came to performance poetry a few years ago, that really informed the way that I approached my poetry. So I still write pieces about, love and breakups and just a good day and a bad day, but I also have a large body of my performance work that's focused on issues of politics, issues of identity. And so I think that my background prior to coming to poetry has really kind of influenced that.
And when you speak about identity, obviously, are you Indian American, and how has that whole transition been for you? And trying to insert that into your poetry, talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. I'm actually Sri Lankan American. My parents immigrated to the U.S. in the early 70s. I was born and raised here in Connecticut. And so some of my poems are about what it's like to be a first-generation hyphenated American. And other poems speak more directly to issues going on in Sri Lanka itself. But I certainly think that poetry, like many art forms, is a great way to open up space for dialogue. It's a great way to educate people about things that they may not be aware of or heard of before. And I try and use my poetry for that.
Understood. Welcome to Philly. Obviously, we're up here. We won't get a chance to see you down there, but tell us, where can we find you? I guess on the web. We have a Facebook page, YouTube page. How do we find Gowrie?
Absolutely. On Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/GowrieK, Gowrik. I'm on Twitter at Gowrie Curry, GowriCurry. And on Twitter, I'm a big fan of tweeting what I call on-the-spot haiku. So I tweet a lot of haiku.
Tell us what the haiku is.
Haiku is a Japanese form of poetry. It's 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. There's more to the pure haiku form than that, but I essentially just rely on the syllable count and the line count. And I try and tweet my responses to news stories in the form of haiku. I tweet about what's going on around me in the form of haiku. Follow me there.
Very interesting. Tell us, before you leave, will you get a cheesesteak?
I won't, because I'm vegan, but Philly is a phenomenal city for vegans, so I've already been enjoying myself.
And we have vegan cheesesteaks.
Do you?
Get yourself one, please.
Maybe I'll try a vegan cheesesteak.
Thanks a lot, Gowrie. It's good
to meet you too. Thank you.
Not all my true stories. At birth, I was named after the character my mother played in the production that lit my parents' romance. A name for a Hindu goddess meaning fair-skinned, as if it were a brown woman's greatest destiny. At 7, I chased Heather around the classroom when she chose a new blonde best friend over her old brown one. When I caught her, I pinched her, turning her white skin crimson. At 12, I saw red and wailed to my mother, "It's starting!" She used "it's our culture" to justify decorating me in a sari and calling in the uncles and aunties to hearken my bloody announcement. At 14, I thought my mother was dead. She went to Sri Lanka for her father's funeral. We didn't hear from her for 2 months. I punched a hole in a wall. She escaped the war and came home, broken. At 16, I pretended I knew what sex involved. I didn't. Luckily, no one bothered to try it with me. At 20 and 21, I was arrested at protests. Didn't fear a thing, besides the cops, the cockroaches in my cell, and the food they served in jail. At 23, I moved to Sri Lanka to speak for justice, was hired by my hero, and within 3 months attended his funeral. I saw the suicide bomber after he struck, his disembodied head, leg, and arm obstructing my path. Like you, I've survived earthquakes, heartquakes, and here we are, still beating.
So we're now joined by Marquise. He is a baby in this field of poetry. It's only been about 3 months or so that he's been in this thing called poetry, spoken word live, and he's joined us on the program tonight. Marquise, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you told me that you've only been doing poetry for about 3 months, but you actually got your first spotlight in a short period of time. How was that experience?
It was great. I joined Michelle Myers like 2 years ago for her creative writing workshops, and then I started kind of tried to get into the scene, but then I had to fade out because of school. But then ever since school stopped and I got the job I wanted, the job I needed, then I got back into it heavy, and yeah, it was just the greatest experience ever.
What draws you to poetry? Why not basketball? Why not baseball? Why not video games? Why poetry?
It's because the poems that I write, I'm telling a story about something, and I feel as though, I hope that maybe one of the stories I can tell can help someone get through something, or just touch someone in a way that I didn't think it was possible. It's one of the ways I want to help somebody.
Understood. I know you're not performing tonight, and I was at another venue and you didn't perform, but now is your chance. We're going to give you another spotlight on Philly on the Rise. One more spotlight. You got 30 seconds. Can you flow off the top of your head for 30 seconds?
I can probably give you something.
Okay, let's give you something right now. Are you ready?
All right.
Here we go.
So these performances and I became secret lovers in hopes to make her jealous of the way we show out at showtime. My thoughts to serenade the pages, my pen penetrates every line to give birth to only the most immaculate of conception. And the rhythm of my lips will blow in the gentlest of kisses to the mic, so it knows there will never be any animosity. But even my cock tease is met with a, "You did good." So the erectile dysfunction of my heart kicks in before the rigor mortis has a chance to rest its head, and the muscular dystrophy makes my entire body buckle because I can't stand to be seen like this.
Ooh, was that Valentine's Day type of thing? Ooh, thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you very much.
It's funny how money changes the situation. Miscommunication leads to complication. My emancipation on equating equation. Well, I was on the humble, you on every station. Someone played on Lisa like she done. We're ripping out a game new under the sun. Everything you did has already been done. I know all your trips are bricks to Kingston. My team's done major, kingdom wanna run. Now understand L boogies, I'm violent. But if a thing tests me, run for me gun. Can't take a threat to me newborn son. L's been this way since creation. A goofy call you far from temptation. How you gonna ball over separation? Tarnish my image in your conversation. Who you gonna scrimmage like you the champion? Well, you might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one. Now, how come you talk I'm all hopeful. Every man wanna act like he's exempt when he needs to get down on his knees and repent. You can't slick talk on the day of judgment. Your movement's similar to a serpent. Try to play straight how your whole style went. Consequences, no coincidence. Hypocrites always wanna play innocent. Always wanna take it to the full out extent. Never wanna make it seem like good intent. Never wanna face it till it's time for punishment. I know you don't wanna hear my opinion, but the committee passed and you must choose one. And if you don't choose, then the racing comes. So you might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one. Now don't you understand, man, universal law? What you throw out comes back to you, star. Never underestimate those who you scar, cause comes back to you hard. You can't hold God's people back that long. The chain of Shaitan wasn't made that strong. Trying to pretend that your word is your bomb, but until you go right, all you do is go wrong. Now, some might mistake this for just a simple song, and some don't know what they have till it's gone. And even when you're gone, you can still be reborn. And from the night can arrive the sweet dawn. Now, some might listen, some might shun. Some may think that they've reached perfection, but if you look closely, you'll see what you become. So you might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one. You might win some, but you just lost one.
So we're here with Mel Brake. He is a poet extraordinaire. He decided to come down here, Friday Night Poetry at the Asian Arts Initiative. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mel Brake.
Yes, Mike, I am a poet, singer, artist. I also have a foundation called the MPW Foundation, where I present workshops for children, helping them to build their self-esteem.
Wow, let's talk a little bit more about your foundation. Where do you find your kids? How old are the kids?
Certainly. Usually, what's interesting is they find me. Exactly. What I do is I do marketing and I talk to directors of schools such as charter schools, such as YMCA's, and generally they're like school-age children, anywhere from like 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. They seem to be the children that sort of meet the needs and sort of the matches I'm looking for.
So what exactly do you do? When you have your workshop, what exactly do you do with the children?
Yes, what I do is I first talk to the administrators to learn what is it that they're doing. So with my program, I sort of complement what they're doing. For example, I did a program at a girls' school where they were doing a Women's History Month. So I incorporated a program of using poetry and songs, looking at women like Angela Davis and showing them the value that, you know, the works that these powerful women did, and also incorporating to the children that they can be someone too. So it was a customized program helping the kids to build self-esteem.
Let's talk about some success stories. I'm quite sure you have quite a few success stories. Can you think of one success story about how a kid's life was changed?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of my students in the same program. She was deathly afraid, Michael, of performing because we did a poetry slam after this 14-week program. She kept saying, I cannot perform in front of everyone. I said, don't worry about it. Let's just write your poems. So she did her poems, she did her poems. So the day that we were going to have the poetry slam, I just said, you know, I know everyone's afraid. I said, I was afraid. But I said, fear is okay. The thing is to face that fear.
Face that fear.
And what it did was it made her feel that I can do this. If the other kids can do it, and asked them to tell me a time when they were afraid and how they overcame that. So when the other children gave examples of how they overcame their fear, it made her feel comfortable, and she was one of the best students on the performance.
How and where can we find your organization, MPW?
Yes, what you can do is go to a site called Manta. It's a listing of small private business owners. Go to manta.com, type in MPW Foundation, and you will find us.
Now, by chance, you didn't happen to name your organization after me, because my initials actually are MPW.
It is. How's about that? It could be, but I named it after myself.
No.
And it stands for Mel's Poetry Workshop.
Understood.
Yes, thank you.
Well, we know where Mel, we know where to find him. Let's make sure that we support him and his kids and his organization.